Well, hello, Author Nation, and welcome to another State of the Nation podcast. We're here for you, and we're bringing you Geniuslink. Now, what is that? Jesse Lake's going to sit down with Joe Solari to talk about that and how it's going to help you find your readers and fans online. So, stick around.
Hey, it's Joe Solari here with Author Nation, and today we have Jesse Lakes from Geniuslink.
Thanks for coming, or thanks for letting me join, Joe. It's excited to be here.
Yeah, so this isn't going to be your typical conversation. First off, Jesse's been a big supporter of the community for years. He's at the show as a sponsor and going to be there to answer your questions. But what we wanted to talk about today is spend some time thinking not just about the tool that you have, but how we can help authors who are really thinking about new, innovative ways to discover their audience. So, hopefully you can bring, a lot of people don't understand that, like, there's other people using this tool for other things, like that are selling music and all kinds of other stuff. So we're going to kind of be leaning into your expertise to help us learn some ways to use this tool that'll help us to figure out who our fans are and go find more of them.
Awesome. I'm excited. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So why don't you give us a little basis on like what the tool is, and then we'll, talk about the difference between maybe BookLinker and Genius Links, because I think Genius Link, that's where we're going to see a lot of the stuff we're talking about making the difference and giving customer discovery.
For sure. So should we start at the beginning, right? Should we talk about Universal Booklink, right? Universal Booklink is the recommended way you promote your book. Why is Universal Booklink recommended? Well, a Universal Booklink does essentially two things, right? It makes sure that your book can be bought. If it's Amazon exclusive, it can be bought from any of the Amazon stores around the world. It'll automatically send the user to a storefront where they're able to buy, which is typically their local storefront. Also, if it's distributed wide, we can make sure that we show the retailer that your reader prefers. So that's a Universal Booklink. BookLinker and GeniusLink are not exclusive there by any stretch. We have a lot of friends in the space doing some really cool stuff as well. BookLinker is the simplified tool. It's a free tool, and it's super geared down to help you authors and indie publishers that don't enjoy marketing. You need a Universal Booklink, but it's really simplified. GeniusLink is the technology that powers BookLinker, but it's also an open-ended tool, right? And we are super fortunate that we have lots of brand new authors on GeniusLink. We also have some of the best marketing teams in the world from some of the biggest brands in the world using the tool as well. And the reason they do that is because it's relatively open-ended and helps solve various different tools, right? We built it initially for kind of affiliate marketing inside of the iTunes ecosystem. This is 14 years ago, and it has obviously evolved a lot. We do a lot in the Amazon space, but yeah, affiliate marketing, Amazon, creators, recommending products to worldwide and diverse audiences is all kind of part of that ethos that we've been building out over the last decade. There was a second part of that question. I've already spaced it out.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that, for some of us that have been around a while, that used to be something, right? You'd be like, oh, you would use these links, and then you would also get your affiliate, and you had this nice little chunk of money that might show up. But like that,
Yeah.
That also could be depressing because you go in and look and see that like they clicked on your link and then they went and bought dog food and a trailer hitch.
Yep. But I think you're hitting a kind of across a key point here, right? There's people that just build a link and stick their head in the sand, which is a step better than not, but also taking that step further and actually looking what happened, understanding some of the kind of causality of that marketing relationship. I may have missed a good call to action, or am I getting lower conversion rate because my landing page on Amazon isn't quite optimized? Why are people buying trailer hitches instead of my book?
Right. So when and however you want to go with this as far as like what parts of the tool we need to talk about, but really this idea of where I think most authors are contemplating right now is like, well, I am wide, or I'm thinking of going wide, and I really want to I want to present my audience. Well, let's think about this two ways. One is it's
Well,
where
can we first define wide, right? I think
yeah,
wide is kind of had one definition that has evolved a lot, especially at this last, 20 Books Vegas author nation,
yeah,
there was a lot of conversation about going direct, right? Wide
yeah.
traditionally means, multiple different publishers, multiple different stores. But I think kind of that new evolution of wide is also including direct as well, including yourself in those different retailers, giving yourself permission to sell your book directly. Is that fair?
Correct. Yeah, no, that's a good point to make. And also, I think there's, wider, which is not just wide, but wider. There's the direct piece. And then there's some people that are like, well, I'm also exploring what I can do on a platform like Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start doing this, there's two sides to this thing that I want us to talk through and help people think of how they can use this tool to help them with. One is like, here's all the places you can buy my stuff. You figure it out. The other side is, how do I have a central place to start seeing like, oh, here's all the people that are clicking on links related to my Kickstarter campaign and what I can tell from those links in my Kickstarter campaign through Geniuslink to be able to better serve my Kickstarter audience versus my direct audience or my Kobo audience or my Barnes and Noble audience or my Apple audience.
There's a lot, and I'm going to miss bits and pieces of it. But I think the first thing we need to talk about is just funnel, right? What is a funnel, right? A lot of authors are focused on writing books and selling books, and that's awesome. That's the foundation. But it's also kind of table stakes, as you're alluding to, right?
Yeah.
Authors are entrepreneurs, whether they like it or not. They're entrepreneurs, and one of the things in this world of entrepreneurship is that you have platform risk and you have different varied revenue streams, right? And exactly what you're saying, these Kickstarter campaigns is kind of a new revenue stream to lead to that, to that book. But what else is there on top of that? How else can you kind of get this person you've built a relationship with to entertain them, to create a commercial relationship with? And is it just books, or then do you do box sets, or then do you do I forget the name of them, but essentially here's a box with the book and here's some trinkets associated with the book.
Like a subscription service. Yeah,
exactly, right? So there's all these kind of different pieces, right? And where do you start, where do you go, and how do you know where the next step is, etc. I think is kind of maybe a bit of that underlying question is. And I think the answer is really just paying attention to that marketing, seeing what is and isn't working, trying different things, experimenting with different things, and optimizing. You're never done as a marketer, as an entrepreneur. You're never done. There's always so much more that can be alluded to. But that was a very vague answer. Let's start to dive in a bit further.
Well, just to kind of double click on what you said, the idea of, like you said, of a funnel, and how can how through Geniuslink, if I was to set that up or to use that tool that could help me to, with the kind of the basics of a funnel, where it's like, these are people that are in the awareness phase. These are people that are, in consideration. Here's people that are ready to buy. And then in that, whether you want to think of as different funnels or segmentation within that, to know the people that are potentially going to be Apple people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm assuming I have the ability to see on the back end that you sent people to the Apple store, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, different destinations. So
yeah,
there's with a link management tool, we look at clicks, right? That's kind of the fundamental where we're looking at it. But we can take those clicks and we can segment them and dissect them in different areas, right? We can look at your account as a whole. You can create different groups, which are different campaigns, and we can look at clicks across multiple different links, or we can look at clicks at an individual link level. And clicks, total clicks is one thing. Take that a step further, clicks over time is more helpful. Is it ramping up? Is it ramping down? Is Tuesday your day, or you see more on Sundays, whatever it may be, right? But then you can also take your clicks and start to break them apart by different pieces, right? Clicks in versus clicks out. We talked about the destination, right? One of the things that Geniuslink has built is this thing we call a choice page. It's the idea that it's a mobile optimized, super simplified landing page that's geared to take people to the next step, but they give them a choice of what that next step is. I'm an Apple fanboy. I live in Seattle. Amazon's right there. But at the end of the day, I'd rather buy through Apple Books, even though, Amazon makes a compelling offer. Someone that's, a diehard Canadian may love Kobo over everything else, or whatever it may be. But getting that little bit of information is helpful as well. We can tell you, where they're coming from in the world. We can tell you what device or operating system they're coming from. We can tell you what default language they have set in their browser. We can tell you, where the clicks are coming from and where the clicks are going. So these little bits of information, these little tidbits, can help you to start to put together a bit of a story. So that's just kind of in the reporting side. You have to want to learn the story and kind of put the pieces together, use some creativity and some imagination to help it all come together. But the other side of it too is that we allow you to set retargeting pixels, which is kind of a bit more of an advanced marketing tool, but you can start to build audiences based off the click. So again, let's talk about a funnel and a super simplified funnel. You have a 5-book series, book 1 is that first step, right? So the people that come into that first step, if you can pixel them, that they're probably a good candidate then to go into the second book. The ones that go from the first book to the second book are probably a good candidate to go into the third. And granted, your audience size will get smaller as it goes, but if you're building these retargeting audiences, you now have fodder to go do some very targeted ad campaigns. You can also look and say, okay, maybe my first, going into the first book, my email newsletter and my social media campaigns and my newsletter swap, they're showing that I have a pretty equal distribution between Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. Well, between book 1 and 2, I'm seeing that Audible is actually now 80% and Amazon is 20%, Apple Books has fallen off. Okay, well, hold on. Why isn't, from book 1 to book 2, why isn't Apple Books continuing that same percentage as it comes through? So there's little questions, little, oddities that you can start to look at. Why is this not working? Why is my newsletter campaign so damn good at selling books on Amazon, but fails at Audible, where social media does really well at Audible? Now, these are all hypothetical, but they'll start to present some questions, which will then hopefully allow your curious brain to go and start to poke at it. Oh, I forgot to include a link to Audible here, or the choice page didn't include the third button for whatever it may be. Or maybe, we tend to read left to right. That first button is probably gonna get more clicks than those other buttons. Well, should I mix up that order because I have a higher margin on Amazon, or I have a higher margin on Audible? So there's some different lessons and nuances, but again, you have to ask the question. You have to be curious to deep dive. Is that helpful, or am I going way down the rabbit hole here?
No, I think this is important. This is stuff we need to talk about, because here I'll give you, devil's advocate. Like, people are going to say, well, I don't want to do that because, I want to, when I run my ads, let's say this is somebody that's running ads, and they're going to say, well, I'm going to run my ads. I'm going to run different ads, and I'm going to run an ad to, Apple. I'm going to run an ad to Amazon. I'm going to split up my stuff that way, because I'm worried that I'm going to send somebody to this choice page and that's going to insert another click. Right. And we all heard, we all hear about that you're going to lose people with every click. I'm not going to argue that point. I am.
Keep going.
What you may agree with where I'm going. By landing on your choice page, we've now pixeled them, right?
Absolutely. If you set the pixel up, you absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So if I sent those people to Amazon and I didn't do that, I don't get to pixel them.
With technology, you can do a direct link from one place to another, and we can still fire a pixel
on your platform. But I'm saying if I'm just running I'm running a Facebook ad to an Amazon page, how would I pixel that person on a click?
If you're just using a direct Amazon link, Amazon ads should in theory allow you to build an audience. That's not my area of expertise.
They've got their attribution stuff that we'll leave that for somebody else to determine if that works or not. But what I'm getting at is how can I start to capture data myself by inserting that page? Do I lose some people? Are you going to argue I am, or I'm not?
So I think you are actually going to build momentum when you do that. So 2 different questions here, right? One is that you don't have to have a choice page to pixel someone that clicks on a Genius link. We can do the pixel during the redirect.
Okay.
or you can land on the choice page and we can pixel as well. So either way, we've got you pixeling. And again, building that custom audience relies on pixels. Again, that's a bit of a more of advanced marketing technique. Strongly encourage those that understand it to dive into it because it's incredibly powerful. That whole notion of the more friction you add in a process, the lower the conversion rate goes. That was actually one of the core things that we latched onto when we first started building the company. Yeah, we wanted a link that just worked to send you where it went. But what we didn't realize is that it's a little bit of a myopic view. When you take a look back, you realize that people have different buying behaviors. And when you give consumers choice, when you give readers choice, they often reward you with a much higher conversion rate. So this is not specific for the author community, but from the testing we did with choice pages, we found that the conversion rate more than doubles when you give consumers a choice versus just sending them directly into Amazon. And we believe that's for a couple reasons. One is that not everyone wants to buy from Amazon. I'm not sure what the book specific is, but as e-commerce in general, Amazon's responsible for about 40% US e-commerce market share, which implies 3 out of 5 sales still happen outside of Amazon. So when you give consumers that choice, they can choose the format, the vendor, the retailer that they prefer to use. Again, Apple fanboy, Apple Books is my include destination. You send me directly to Amazon, I'm going to then abandon and hop into Apple Books, but I might get sidetracked with the first page of Apple Books and not go and actually search for the book you gave me. So
right, you may go buy a trailer hitch.
It happens.
Yeah, right. While I'm here, there's other stuff. That's, and that's Amazon's secret evil plan, right? Like is
exactly.
They get you there and then like, oh yeah, I'm in the mood to shop. I'm just not going to buy this book. I'm going to buy,
I don't need this book, but I do need toilet paper. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're lost, right? Now you're browsing on the store.
Exactly. You'd won them for a moment. You had their attention, but yeah, you lost their attention.
Well, you paid in the example we're giving, you paid for their attention.
That's a very good point.
Right?
So this is ROI negative now.
Right. Like at least, with using your system, if I just scoop the link, on the trigger, I get the pixel. At least now I got a chance to retarget them. That's going to cost me more money. But if I land them on that page, I'm just kind of thinking this out loud. Now I'm going to have some more information. I'm going to know about this click or of the clicks that I get, the preference across different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then to what you're saying earlier, then I can look at across those platforms, what's the conversion rate coming off of that?
Right. And how can I optimize, right? Starting to make little things in your call to action, your description, the order of the buttons, the color of the buttons. There's a lot of different ways that you can mess with. Again, this is more kind of marketing 201 and 301 versus, just kind of early days, but it gives you more control over the process. You don't have a lot of control over, Amazon, how Amazon does checkout. You don't have a lot of control over, Facebook ad. Yeah. Obviously you have, your images and your call to action, et cetera, but there's not as much control as if you put something in the middle. Squeeze page, landing page, or choice page.
Yeah. Well, it's something I've talked, especially about folks with that are contemplating direct and looking at that is if you step away from, if you go back to like old school awareness, like the first place I'm going to bring you isn't going to be to sell you a product. I think we've got too impatient. Like, oh, you're ready to buy now. It's like, let me introduce you to the brand. And then if I drop you onto a page and I start to help you understand what my brand promise is, what these books are going to be about, I give you some quick feel for what my writing is like. You're going to, it's kind of like the pizza puffs at the end of the aisle at Costco, right? Like
damn those things.
They don't just do that to block up the aisles, right? Like it continues to be a successful way to sell boxes of pizza puffs, right? Like, so how can you bring people there and, is it going to turn into a sale today? No, but it could be a sale tomorrow or a week from now. And you've got information.
I think that it hits upon a pretty kind of crucial thing, right? Getting someone from intent to purchase right off the bat, awesome if you can do it. But a lot of us, we need to build momentum. We need to get comfortable. The lower price the item, the less momentum's there. But if your book's a free Kindle book, maybe you can do it. But if you're asking, 20, 30, $50 for your work, at least for myself, I need to, I'm not easily just going to throw that money around. It may be perfect. It may be a waste, but if I learn more about it, if I see it, see some of the other work, I exactly read a description, read a testimony or a quote or, whatever it may be, that helps me move forward in that buying process. It helps me move down that funnel and get comfortable with it. So it'll make it easier for me to then convert at the end when you're actually asking me to put my credit card down.
I know we're kind of talking about some higher level stuff, and I think that's okay. Like for the folks that are listening to this or watching it, you don't have to rush and do this stuff. You'll know when you're ready to start applying these things. That it's more about exposing you to these ideas that as you take more responsibility for your marketing, you have these opportunities to do things and see things, because what we're trying to do is help you if the audience is on a big platform like Facebook or TikTok, how do we get them over to you? Now, that may take time once they know who you are to win them over. That's not what this is about. This is about, can we show you those people and give you information to see the validity of what you're doing? Because one of the things you made me think about is, if I was looking at that choice page and seeing the links, I may be misled because I see a lot of traffic to Amazon, but it actually has a lower conversion rate, is what I was hearing you say. Whereas
may have some lower conversion rate. Yeah, everyone's gonna be different.
Yeah, but let's say it does. Like I by now seeing what's happening on Apple, it's up to me to decide, well, maybe what I need to do is just figure out how to get more of that Apple-like conversion or Apple-like traffic to come, because it actually has a higher conversion, right? If the conversions stay consistent. I'm kind of bringing that up kind of with a question mark at the end for you to comment on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of reading the tea leaves as well, right? What is this implying? If it's a massive difference, then it's obvious. It's a little difference. There's a couple different factors in there, but it's part of like being curious and having some data to help you. Here's my hypothesis. I'm going to test it. What does the data say? It's that scientific mindset of messing with things. Change the order. Focus on this, focus on that, or does it help inform other decisions? Amazon's ignoring me to do a promo, but Apple just pinged me and wants to do a promo with me. Should I do it? Oh, Apple traffic converts horribly. That would just be a waste of time. Or Apple traffic is just as good as Amazon traffic, maybe more. This would be a great opportunity for me. It's not worth that time to dive down. Taking one quick step back, though, one of the things that you allude to, I just want to kind of poke at a little bit more, is that you as a marketer, you will evolve in your skill set. And I think that's one of the things that may set some link management platforms apart from others, right? Bitly is a great tool. It creates, a long link, short link, gives you some analytics, whatever. But until you pay a significant amount, they won't let you edit that link, which means you're kind of locked into what you built. So when you're looking for a link management tool, look for one where you can edit those links. And it may be just, from here to here to begin with, and that's fine. But being able to edit, you can add different steps or add different options or add different targeting as time goes on. You can learn these lessons. You can evolve your link. Some of your links, such as a Facebook post, are going to have a relatively short half-life. But if you put a link in the back of your first book and have it publish it again in a while, having access to be able to edit that book to manipulate where it goes from there can be hugely valuable. It's kind of some insurance aspects as well.
For sure.
On top of that, to kind of pull back to an earlier point, again, maybe you are starting off with just Amazon, you're using KDP, you're exclusive. Having that link and then maybe adding, a couple other retailers and then adding, your website so you can sell directly. This evolution can happen over, weeks, months, or years. But again, using a link management platform, using these universal book links allows you to have exactly that control. So you can add different, monetization or campaign ways, add different tests, add, extrapolate different or go on different theories and put the pieces together. Maybe that direct campaign to your website should be the first button always, or maybe it should be the second button because Apple Books or Amazon converts way better than your website. And at the end of the day, you need the money today, but at the end of the day, you want to own that relationship later.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's part of this thing is you have to decide what's right for you. Certain genres, it's always going to be the lion's share is going to be in KU, right? I've got clients that make great money, but it's like, because of that genre, that's really the most rich area to mine. Can the next idea though is well, can we find people? There's a lot of people that don't even know that KU exists. They may read those
Right.
books, right? Like, so yes, you can. Is it harder? Yeah, a lot harder, and it's going to take longer, and it requires patience. But if you put the work in, eventually, like, it'll come, right? And if you get somebody that's prepared to pay you $5.99 for a book versus what KU's determined that your book is worth based on page reads,
Right.
my research to date is that the average direct sales worth 6 to 8 KU readers. You don't need as many.
But, and I think you're hitting upon something that's super important here. Your direct sale means that you got their email address. You had to communicate with them. And that in itself, selling books is great. And that's, an important piece. But building a community and building a community that you own, aka you have the email address versus you rent, say Instagram followers or Twitter followers, but having that email address, building that relationship with them over regular emails, that's incredibly valuable as well.
For sure. And I think the other thing too, that people are discounting a lot, and it's going to be more and more important in the future with direct sales, is giving the person ownership of the product. Like, I've told this story a couple of times. It was a New Year's Eve. We were watching a movie on HBO, and at midnight, the movie just stopped, just turned off. And it was because HBO's contract for that movie was over at the end of that year. Right?
Bummer.
But we don't think about that in the world of, like, we're just subscribing to a service that has deals in it. And what's in and out of that isn't really in our control. So yeah, I have those books that I have, in my Kindle or in Audible. They can come in and out based on what Amazon decides or what the publisher decides. And even though I gave them the money, that to me was like, I bought it, I don't have it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's one thing, if it's, you can have as a direct person, is you can make that decision is, no, when I sell you this, it's yours. Right.
Right.
I'm going to give you the files and you're going to have it. Yeah, some people are going to pirate, but I'm not really worried about that. The people that want to own things, that's part of my brand. Sorry about that digression, but
no, I think it's important because it's so damn easy to just be a consumer on streaming services, right? And yeah, we only need it for one pass, but your absolute favorite things, not having the tangible, even if it is just files, but not having that could be a real letdown when you really want it and it's no longer available because you just borrowed it instead of bought it.
So, Jesse, is there, like, thinking about like some of the other people that are using your service, is there things that we should be knowing about how they're using your tools that would, be some kind of ninja stuff, or really maybe innovate some ways that authors market?
So before our conversation, I was on a call with a major web publisher that does incredible reviews. And we were talking a lot about the A/B testing technology inside of Geniuslink. We were setting up a 3-way A/B test to compare a few different things. And again, we're getting pretty nerdy here, setting up the control, the 2 tests and the different tracking pieces. But just knowing, this link is going to get a variety of tests. We want to test how well this functions for a specific subset. So A/B test inside of iOS, Android, and someone's coming from the US. We can set that up, we can test it, and we can compare the results so that we can iterate and learn. So A/B testing, again, is not something a lot of us marketers in the book space think about a lot, but does Amazon convert better than our direct to consumer? Well, we can test that. It takes, you need to set up some attribution on Amazon side or use the affiliate program. You need to set up some sort of attribution on the website side as well. But those are things that you can test. And that's something that our platform can definitely help you with. Taking that one step further, we talked about kind of the targeting aspect. do your readers from Germany, do they want to go to the English version of your book, or do they want to go to their native language version of their book, right? Inside of our tool, you can set, based off the browser language, a different destination to go to. So does it make sense to send German readers to the German version, French readers to the French version, regardless of territory, or only in certain specific countries? If someone is on a mobile device, do you want to only send them to the Kindle version, or do you want to send them to the paperback as well? If they're on an Android device, does it make sense to send them to Apple Books, where it's very unlikely they'll have an Apple Books app because it's iOS specific? So there's little bits of logic that you can use. And again, is this 5% of your traffic, or 1% of your traffic, or is this 50% of your traffic, right? It's always a bummer not to be optimized, but optimizing takes time, effort, and energy. So don't over optimize. But if there's some relatively basic logic decisions, strongly encourage you to take advantage, because a little bit more of a seamless experience to get to something they want is going to typically pay off at a higher conversion rate.
Awesome. So again, we're a nerdy version here. That's okay. We don't have to be keeping this in. So let's say, one thing you just made me think about was, let's say I want to really understand all my traffic. Like it's hard for an author, because you got all these different platforms. You got 65 tabs open in Google trying to is there things I can do in Geniuslink to see all my traffic in kind of like one screen? Or is there ways I can use things like UTM to do that in maybe Google Analytics? I don't know. That's something I'm interested in hearing you talk through.
Yeah. So again, in Geniuslink dashboard, everything's measured in clicks, right? So we can give you clicks based off this other information, which gives you one lens, right? But it's what is the analogy? When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt. UTM allows you to pass information to websites that you own and have Google Analytics or something similar that accepts UTM parameters to read. We also talked about the Facebook retargeting pixel. Facebook knows these people on a much more intimate basis outside of just clicks. So even if you don't plan on reusing that for retargeting, just understanding who is in your retargeting basis can give you more information. Geniuslink can't tell you male versus female. Facebook can do a pretty good job of that. Facebook can tell you a lot of various interests and so forth. So, adding that retargeting pixel so that it gets pushed into their system can definitely help. UTM parameters, as you mentioned, Google Analytics is relatively good, but also they're kind of based on a click focused world as well. So there's definitely different ways to kind of tie in. Those are definitely the two best ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's as folks go wide, there's some of these tools which we just ignored, right? They why use these things? It doesn't make sense when we don't have destination. But now that we do, can it help me to get to start coloring in some of the picture that we're looking at?
Or the simplest low-tech thing is just send people to a Google form to ask a few questions about them. You own that data. You get asked what questions. Did you read this other book? What other fans? What other authors do you enjoy? Do you cosplay? Whatever questions are important for you to better understand. Yeah, why not?
So, that was a great example. Do you have any other kind of things we should be thinking about using the tool for to? Even if it is a more advanced thing, there's going to be some people here that's where they're at. So,
yeah. So we talked a lot about Geniuslink, right? It's again kind of the premium marketing tool. Booklinker is much more simplified. The third tool that we have that's not specific for authors, but I think there's some opportunity there, is this platform called kit.co. And kit.co is a place where people can curate things. It's essentially building a mixtape of products, kind of as similar to Amazon's influencer program. It's been really fun to see some authors that have adopted the platform, kind of build worlds around some of their characters. What does my hero, what kind of products do they wear, or what clothes do they wear, what books do they read, what other things are there, and just kind of helping build a little bit more of that world around these products. Or what are your favorite books? Well, here's the 10 books I read last year, and here's the 10 I'm going to read this year. 10's a small number for a lot of this audience, but so it kind of gives you it's an opportunity to promote products and earn some of that affiliate revenue, but also kind of help build some world around some of these characters and help give you as an author a little bit more depth. Again, we talked about, kind of building momentum towards sales. Understanding and appreciating you as an author is probably going to make me appreciate your book a bit more. Not always, but it's just one more thing that we can help, with pushing that momentum forward.
Yeah, I think there's for a lot of folks, that's something they like. They build these other pieces. Like, here's the Spotify list music I was listening to while I wrote this book, or here's what my character would be listening to. All that stuff. People are really into that story world. Like, it doesn't hurt to have that stuff. Like,
If
if
it helps
it's
with your
not there,
character
you'll never
development
know.
as well. Exactly. And it's just, one more way to kind of pull them in and possibly earn some additional revenue along the way. Kit's a free tool. It's really exciting to see what some people have curated.
Cool. So I know you're going to be at the show in November.
Absolutely.
So folks that want to meet with Jesse and his team, be there on Monday and hang out. He's there for the whole week at the show and help you with how to get the stuff set up on your computer and use it.
We will nerd out. We will
Yeah.
talk theory. We will talk specifics. We can talk about affiliate. Universal book links. I'm only I'm a pretty limited author. I have written a couple books now, but my world is definitely in kind of affiliate and online marketing. So
you do know a few things about that and love to talk about it. So be prepared.
More on the later than the former, but yes, I do love to talk about it.
Awesome. Well, it was great having you on and talking through this stuff and learning more about how we can take this tool to kind of another level to help, discover where people are coming from so we can go look for more of them there.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking some good questions and let me go on my rants.
All right, man. We'll see you in November.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe.
Bye.